In this mixing tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to mix low end like a pro. So if your low end sounds something like this, I'm going to teach you how to make it sound like this. Hi, my name is Vlad, I'm a DJ and one-man band music producer. Are you tired of spending weeks on trying to finish the track, mix it, but it just doesn't sound as good, as professional as your favorite artist tracks? Do you want to share your music with the world, get heard, and impact people's lives with your music, make them feel emotions behind your tracks? To do that, you will need an organized approach and a proven system. So if you really want to become a full-time music producer without spending years on education, figuring things out yourself, I invite you to join my 7 weeks coaching program. And if you're ready to take your music to the next level, claim your seat today, because for the first launch, I'm only accepting 15 students, so it's a limited time offer. So no more talking, and let's start with the tutorial. Alright guys, so before we start mixing our low end, we need to make sure that we have the right sounds for our kick, for our bass. Imagine that the kick and the bass is the foundation of the track, so the kick plus the bass, the low end, is the foundation. And let's say you want to build a house on that foundation, and it's gonna work because we have a solid quality foundation, so it's gonna work. And house equals to track, right? It's analogy to track. And what if something wrong happens to our foundation? So we get some problems here, something goes wrong here, and it's all broken. And what's going to happen is your house is going to fall and fail and break. So fail, right? And it's way easier to get the right sounds from the beginning than trying to fix everything in the mix. You can't fix it in the mix. Remember this phrase, guys. You can't fix it in the mix. You need to get the right sounds from the beginning. Alright, so the next step we need to do is the sidechain. So let me show you the sidechain. Now I'm going to play for you the low end without sidechain. Pay attention to the kick, guys, how it hits, how it behaves, and how it sounds together with the bass. So that was without the sidechain. Now let me show you the sidechain. And now guys, let me explain to you how sidechain works. So let's say we have a kick. This is the kick, right? And we have a bass, which looks something like that. So we have a bass. And as you can see, guys, here, we don't have this space, right? So what do we need to do to fix that issue? To do that, we will need to use sidechain. And sidechain is basically just ducking the bass sound, and it looks something like this, right? Something like this. So now our bass looks like this, and we have the space for our kick, and it's fine. So basically this is what sidechain does, and this is why you need to use it in any track. Alright, so the next step is the velocity and the dynamics, and this is what happens when you don't work with velocity. So for example, we have some notes, right? So something like that, something like that, and something like that. So this is dynamic, right? Dynamic. And when we compress it with the limiter, with the compressor, it's going to look something like this, right? So we still get the dynamic range here. And when we use flat dynamics, this is what's going to happen when we compress the bass, the leads, any kind of sound. It's going to be flat. And it's a problem because when we don't have dynamics, it sounds too repetitive and it can really destroy your mix. So guys, really make sure to work with the dynamics and with velocity. Alright guys, so now I'm going to break down my kick processing and show you how to mix kick and bass together. So you can really see that it's minimal, and there's one interesting thing about the kick, and it's the utility here, and it's in mono. So let me show you guys. Imagine that this is your mix, right? This is your mix. And this is your kick, right? And now it's in mono, right? Mono. But what happens when you don't put your kick in mono? It's just going to take the space, the stereo space of the whole spectrum that could be used for instruments. So this is not really good. This is why you need to put your kick in mono, and this is why I've done the same thing using utility. Just put your kick in mono. After that, I'm applying some compression just to reduce the dynamics of the kick, because in low end we don't need a lot of dynamic range, right? And after that, I'm just using some EQ. So as you can see, I've boosted the 60 Hertz, the punch of the kick. I've cut the 200 Hertz to remove that boxiness, and I've slightly boosted the top end. And I'm using equalizer as the last plugin in my chain, and you should do that as well. So the next thing is the bass. For the bass, it's a bit more complex, but still it's fairly minimal. So first of all, I'm using a fast compressor, and I'm using fast compressor to catch the transients. So let's say we have a signal with some dynamics. So it looks something like this, right? So that's a signal. And now I'm using fast compressor to make it look something like this. So it's smaller, you see. We reduce the dynamic range. Right? And after that, I'm using a slow compressor to make my sound even more flat. So let's say we have something like this, and it's gonna look more like almost a flat curve. Maybe it's gonna look something like this, right? You see. And this is what I've done. So as you can see, guys, here for the first compressor, I'm using really fast attack, which is here, 0.3. And after that, I'm shaping the sound, shaping my dynamics with more sustain, with longer release and longer attack to make it flat. And after that, I'm using a plugin called Smooth Operator. So let me show you what it does. And without Smooth Operator, so you can feel that it removes automatically the muddiness, the low end, and some resonating frequencies, and it's really amazing plugin. It works as a dynamic de-esser, but for the whole spectrum. So you can use it for the bass, for the mids, for the high frequencies, and it's really amazing plugin. And there is one more similar kind of plugin that is called Soothe 2, and basically it just does the same thing, but this plugin is simpler. So if you're looking for a dynamic resonance suppressor, consider the Smooth Operator. It's really amazing plugin. And after that, guys, I'm doing some EQ as the last plugin in my mixing chain, and here you can see that I've removed 40 Hertz, and 40 Hertz, if you look at the spectrum, it's the main harmonic of the kick. So this is why I have removed it here. And I've also cut a little bit of 300 hertz to remove the boxiness, the unwanted, unnecessary low mids. Alright, so basically this is it for the individual processing. And now let's break down the processing I have on my groups. And the first plugin is saturation. As you guys might know, saturation, what it does, so let's say we have a flat sound, which looks something like this, just a flat sound, right? Just a flat sound. And what saturation does, it makes the flat sound look something like this, It adds extra harmonics, and these harmonics, they are very, very pleasant to our ears. So the guy here is happy, right? And if it's flat, the guy is sad. And one more good thing about saturation is when you apply saturation to a signal, it translates better on a smaller speakers. So this is a small speaker, right? And this is a big speaker. And on a big speaker, you will have bass even if you have like a flat curve. But on the smaller systems, it's really important to add saturation. So you add these extra harmonics to make it audible, right? So here, no bass. And this is why we need to add saturation. So you can see that here, add saturation. I hope it makes sense, guys. And the next step is the multi-band compressor, multi-band dynamics. I'm using Ableton's stock compressor. It doesn't matter what compressor you use. It's just about compressing the different bands. And usually I go for the low end about 120. And it sounds like that with the bass. And it's really, really hard compression. The ratio is 1:16. The attack and the attack and release time is gonna depend on what kind of bass, what kind of kick. But usually for the very, very low end, for the sub-E frequencies, I go pretty short on the attack, about 30 seconds, something like that. Sometimes even shorter. And for the release time, 30, 40, 60, really depends on the type of the bass on the kick. There's no like ultimate approach. You need to listen, but the concept is that you just split your kick, the kick and bass, the low end into bands and compress them. And yeah, basically I'm just compressing the top, and it roughly the same thing. And after that, I'm applying compression to my top end. You can do like 3 bands, really depends on the track and what you're doing. And after that comes really interesting part. If you haven't watched my video about analog EQs, guys, please go and watch it here on here. I'm going to put a video because otherwise it's not gonna make any sense. So as you guys can see, I'm boosting 300 here, and at the same time I'm also cutting 300 here. And as you guys know, analog EQ, they produce extra harmonics, and when you cut and boost at the same time, you get extra saturation, extra harmonics, right? And basically the purpose of analog EQ in this case is to add warmth, add a bit of sub. So I've applied boosted 60 hertz here. As you can see, really simple processing, but still it makes sense. So let me go show you without this equalizer. So it sounds like that. And now with the equalizer. Without and with. These are really subtle changes, but at the end of the day, it makes a lot of sense, and it will make your mixes way more professional, way more interesting. And after that, I am applying some compression, And as you guys can see here, I have a filter, so I'm only applying compression to everything that is above 300 hertz, because I've already compressed everything with the multiband dynamics. And one more important thing, guys, about compression is that I've applied parallel compression to every single compressed I've used in this project, because you can compress more and mix that to the original signal. And the last thing is the equalizer, and here I'm just basically cutting the low end, and sometimes you can cut maybe here about 400 hertz just to make your low end sit a bit more deeper in the mix. And basically, guys, it's really simple. It's everything you need to do. And remember the rule, less is more. Yes, you can break it, but just keep that in mind, so the next time you mix, you don't apply a lot of crazy processing, a lot of crazy plugins, effects, whatsoever. So yeah, guys, that was everything for today. Don't forget about the course. So if you want to become a full-time music producer, claim your seat today, because it's a limited time offer. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave your comment below, hit the notification bell if you like the video, if you've learned something, and also share it with your music producer friends. It will help the channel to grow faster, and I will be able to help more of you guys Thank you very much, guys, for watching this video, and I see you guys in the next one. Bye.